Another week has gone by, and Leslye Headland is still saying that a second season of The Acolyte has not been greenlit yet. Before we get to this, I'd like to ask you, please hit that subscribe button, hit that bell for notifications so you don't miss any of our future videos here at the Trent Report. Also, hit that like button. Let's send this video up into the upper echelons of the YouTube algorithm so more people can see it. I wrote this up over at thatparkplace.com. And Leslye Headland did a recent interview with Nerdist where she was asked, "Do you know if you're definitely getting a season 2?" She responded, "No," and then apparently had a big laugh. She then elaborated, saying, "I have no idea." Well, not that I have no idea. I would say there are conversations, and I don't know when that will happen. I don't know when that decision will be made. So she's saying that there are conversations happening, but that Lucasfilm and executives at the Walt Disney Company have not given the show a green light yet. I don't know why you would. The viewership is absolutely abysmal. We'll get to that. But this isn't the first time she has said this. She told Entertainment Weekly at the end of June. I think this was after the 5th episode. She says, "I'll tell you my philosophy on first seasons. Something that I've noticed is first seasons will end on what should have been the break into Act 2. It feels like everyone's really expecting to get a second season, and I don't feel that's a good idea. I think you should put everything you can into the first season and give the audience a nice resolution that feels satisfying, but enough nods to mysteries that you would want to see a second season. So it's a little bit of both. You don't want to leave it so wrapped up that, like Obi-Wan Kenobi or a standalone miniseries, that there's no reason to watch a second season. But I think there's enough stuff in the last few episodes that you would want to have answered." Now that we've actually seen the penultimate episode, I'm not sure that is the case. I don't really know if there's any reason or there's any mysteries in this show to be solved at all. I'm trying to think of what there would be. The only real mystery is like what the Jedi did, and that was indeed solved in this episode. They did nothing wrong. So it's unclear even why this guy like took his life later on when he did nothing wrong. Just absolutely bizarre. There really aren't any mysteries whatsoever. I guess aside from the fact that like what happened to Coral, who's still alive, she's the only one who's not dead. One of the witch moms. But she went on and said this when she was asked if there was any progress made on a possible season 2. She said, "I remember reading that Vince Gilligan, in writing and doing the first season of Breaking Bad, really didn't plan on we're getting 7 more seasons and this is what's going to happen to Walter White. It was much more, here's everything we've got. We're throwing everything at the wall. And when the pickup, he mapped out, okay, here's what's going to happen over the course of however many seasons. So I took that approach with this. I threw everything into season 1 because who knows what's going to happen." From there, Headland indicated she would need a break before potentially doing a second season. She said, "And then I'd say there are 4 to 5 major mysteries and plot points that have to get hit in season 2. But until we get a proper pickup, I worry that spending a lot of time in that world, especially being in a period where I've worked so long on this project that honestly I'm exhausted by it coming out, to kind of jump right into like, all right, season 2. So even 2 weeks ago, she was like, I need a break. I'm not really ready to get into a second season, indicating to me that it's unlikely a second season is going to be greenlit for this show. It will probably be more that I know what needs to happen and I know what the character development needs to be in order to hit the plot points and the character points for a second, third, or fourth season. So I look forward to working on that. But right now, I haven't. So, as I said, we were going to get to this viewership. Nielsen recently came out with their viewership data and revealed the show's 2-episode premiere only garnered 444 million minutes watched. That is absolutely atrocious. We can compare that to Ahsoka. It also had a 2-episode premiere that had 829 million minutes watched. If you look at that, just compare straight up minutes watched to minutes watched, that is a nearly 50% decline from Ahsoka to The Acolyte. Obviously, there is a big caveat. Ahsoka's 2 episodes had a total runtime of 101 minutes. compared to the Acolyte's 82 minutes. However, even if you use Disney's simple total minutes viewed divided by total runtime, and that's how they calculate a view, Ahsoka's viewership comes to 8.2 million views compared to the Acolyte's 5.4 million. That is a 34% decline. Over a third of people who watched Ahsoka did not tune in to the Acolyte. Remember, Ahsoka was the last live action show on Disney Plus for Star Wars. If you compare it to The Mandalorian Season 3, which arrived on Disney Plus in March 2023, so just a year ago, Nielsen reported the one episode premiere garnered 823 million minutes watched. Like with Ahsoka, it is nearly a 50% decline in total minutes watched. However, it gets even more bleak once you realize the premiere episode was only 37 minutes long. That means by Disney's calculations, it would be 22.2 million views. So that's a 75.6% decline from the Mandalorian Season 3 premiere to the Acolyte. 75.6 decline. Just absolutely wild. We also have this, now it's known, friend of the channel. He shared the top chart for streaming originals from Illuminate for the week the show's 6th episode debuted. Illuminate reported that the Acolyte had less than 282 million minutes viewed, which was the amount of minutes watched by the 10th ranked presumed innocent. So it completely fell off the Illuminate top 10 chart here for its 6th week. So we don't even know how well it did, how well it performed. We did know that it was at 232.2 million minutes during the 5th episode, the week the 5th episode debuted. So obviously, given that the lowest show clocked in at 282 million minutes, it is possible that the Acolyte saw its viewership increase. However, this would defy the trend of the show. I mean, we were seeing it decline. Even if you go to the 4th week, I think, or the 4th episode, I think that's the 3rd week that it came out. It was the 4th episode. It had almost the same runtime as the 5th episode, but it had 30 million minutes less. It was like 260 something, and now it went down to 232. And we don't even know what it was for the 6th episode because it fell off the chart. It was lower than 282. My guess, it was lower than 232. It could have potentially been sub 200. That is definitely a possibility because we saw it drop 30 million minutes from the previous week, and they had those episodes had the same runtime. And the fact that it's dropping that much, that means people aren't actually coming in and watching earlier episodes. Because remember, all of these data tracking firms, Nielsen, Illuminate, they track all of the show for that week, not just that specific episode. So when the most recent episode, 7th episode, comes out, they're tracking viewership for everything. 1st episode, 2nd episode, 3rd episode, 4th episode, 5th episode. And so you're seeing a decline in that. So they're not getting people coming in to watch all of those episodes. You're seeing a decline. So not looking good. Obviously, you can see here too, the IMDb review scores, I think, correlates with the decline in viewership. You can see that right here, 6th episode only had less reviews. 4.9, excuse me, the 7th episode had 4.9 compared to the 6th episode at 7.3. The 5th episode was at 12,000. The 4th episode at 14. And then obviously you have the 1st episode at 22, 2nd episode at 20, and then the 3rd episode at 22. And that kind of reflects what we saw from Illuminate data, where we saw a big bump in the 3rd episode, and then that gradual decline over the course. And that is kind of reflective here of the number of reviews that we're seeing here. Total reviews being done for each episode on IMDb as well. Then obviously you have this atrocious users audience score on Rotten Tomatoes, 14%. And we're even seeing a decline here in the tomato meter score. It's down to 81%. By the end of this show, it might actually be, might not be quote unquote certified fresh anymore. It might be worse than that, because even the critics now are kind of turning on this. Covered Grace Randolph, who was basically the show's biggest cheerleader up until the 7th episode, who described the show as awful in a post on X. And then Just to kind of point out how awful this is, we do know that it has a $180 million price tag. The New York Times reported that. And if you want to compare this to kind of like looking at how many Disney Plus subscribers there are, the most recent earnings report from Disney said that there were 54 million subscribers to Disney Plus in the United States and Canada. If we do a basic math and then the Nielsen numbers show that the show garnered 5.4 million viewers, that means that only 10% of subscribers on Disney Plus at least in the United States, are watching this show. Ahsoka nearly doubled that. Disney Plus only had 46.1 million subscribers at the end of December 30, 2023. Ahsoka reportedly brought in 8.2 million viewers. That's 17.1% of all subscribers in the United States and Canada. So the people that are subscribing to Disney Plus, 90% of the people subscribing to Disney Plus are not watching this show. And they spent $180 million on it. So I doubt that people are actually subbing to Disney Plus to watch this when you have 90% of current subscribers aren't even watching. So hard to justify that alleged or reported $180 million price tag as well. So it's not looking good for the Acolyte. Leslye Headland is repeatedly saying that the show has not been greenlit for a second season. And if you're trying to justify this based on any kind of profit incentive, it would be hard to approve of it, given all of the metrics that we're seeing show that this show is an absolute disaster on that front. But let me know what you guys make of this. Let me know in the comments below. Remember to always be charitable, especially to each other, but to always speak the truth.